guys to another episode of World War Marvel. Yes, I did say World War Marvel, and I am back, your channel host Adam. We are here to bring you a very special announcement. Well, I can't even say announcement because it's already been announced. I'm just here to bring my thoughts about the announcement that the company Atomic Mass Games has brought to us over the course of Gen Con. So unless you're a hermit hiding out in the woods, or a toad under a stone or under a log, something along those lines, you probably have heard that Atomic Mass Games announced this over the past weekend at Gen Con, the release of their upcoming game, Marvel Crisis Protocol. And so yes, that has brought me back into wanting to do more World War Marvel. So we love the IP, the setting that comes with this game. As some of you may know, I have a young family, and I'm bringing my children up on the comic books, the movies and everything. I have a 6-year-old son that is becoming a die-hard comic fan. I don't want to even say comic fan because he hasn't read a comic book per se yet, but he has watched the movies and he's watched cartoons and everything else. So I am super excited for this release from Atomic Mass Games. As I said before, that's bringing me back into doing these videos. So in the fall, they will be releasing Marvel Crisis Protocol to the masses, en masse. The starter box is a 10-model starter box with 5 good models, 5 evil models. There comes with terrains, core rules, measuring sticks, as well as movement tools, I guess is what they call them. And it's going to allow us to bring everything we love about these comics onto the tabletop yet again. So that definitely has me excited, definitely has me wanting to come back and film some of these battle reports, or I should say content, because it probably won't just be battle reports. I'll probably do sort of like tactics videos and battle reports and little chats like this. I'm going to have some friends over, they'll throw some dice around with me and everything else. So what is Marvel Crisis Protocol? Like I said, it is a skirmish game. First off, 40mm models are 40 millimeters. Instead of being metal, as some of us are used to, they are actually going to be hard plastic. You can see some of the sculpts in these pictures that I'm posting now. They are fantastic. So the design team over at Atomic Mass Games, I would have to say, is nailing the sculpts for these models. I'm actually really enjoying them. I'm looking forward to building these models, or getting my hands on these models first off, and then building them and painting them and everything else. Don't get me wrong, I love my old models. You can see them on my shelf right over here in the background. They've been there for almost 2 years, well, over 2 years now. I will always love them, but these new sculpts, the big thing that I think that I like is the fact that they are plastic, because they're not going to chip as much, which some of these guys have wear and tear on them now, and hopefully aren't as prone to breaking off where the seal and the gap is between the two components, so like an arm and a body or something along those lines. In this game, the mechanics for setting up a game, I guess they call it the roster after reading through the rules. You set up your roster, which is setting up your team, which again, you pick based off of the threat level and everything else. If you haven't read the rules, I'll post a link in the video below, or in the description below. You can pick up the rules from there. But you set up your team, which then later on, through starting the scenario that you're playing, will be you'll choose models from that team to become your squad for the scenario, which is a pretty interesting concept. So the 10 models that you pick for your team aren't necessarily going to be all, you won't be playing with all of them. So it gives you some sort of tactical advantage based off the scenarios that are picked during setting up the roster in the game. It allows you to sort of play with that team there to I guess, give yourself a better advantage while you're playing. So then your scenarios, what happens is I can't remember what they're called off the top of my head, and I do apologize, but you have your scenarios. You get 3 of your crisis cards, I think is what they're called, where there's 2 different versions of them. One is going to be an extraction, and one is going to be a secure, if I can remember. And then basically whoever has priority will pick whether they want to do an extraction or secure objective. And then from there, out of their 3 cards that they've put into the roster for these scenarios, They shuffle them up, draw 2, and then they'll choose one secretly. And then once their opponent's done the exact same, they'll reveal. Whoever has priority will then get to pick the threat level, because each card will have an associated threat level onto it. So that's pretty cool. So it's not like a set, like, okay, you and your partner show up, or you and your opponent show up, and you're like, we want to play this amount of power or this amount of points for today's match. It will leave it up to the hands as to whoever has the initiative or priority, I guess, during the setup. So the big thing also with this scenario that I really am looking forward to is something called raids. It was mentioned during the stream, and more or less what it is you and an opponent team up against a third opponent who's going to be like a very large, massive threat to the world in the sense of, I guess, Marvel. So if you look again over my shoulder, you'll see a Galactus that I have over there. Or if you might have keen eyes, you might see Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet. So I'm imagining these raids that were mentioned during the live stream to be something like a world-ending threat, like one of those big baddies, where people from all over the Marvel setting have teamed up together to overthrow those. So one of those raids is something that I'm really interested in seeing how it plays out, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Atomic Mass Games does with that. They're also going to do narrative campaigns, so I'm assuming just following story arcs with specific models and everything else, telling those stories. That is going to be another play style. Then obviously they will be doing your basic throwdown, like I guess match play would be the closest thing that I could call it. So that's a brief overview of Marvel Crisis Protocol. Like I said, it is that 40mm skirmish style game where every hero will have 2 actions during their turn, and it's going to be a rotating activation, so I activate, you activate type thing, back and forth, where everybody gets 2 actions during their turn, and those could be attack or move or you name it, they're going to have it in there. You're going to be able to shoot, like Iron Man's Unibeam, or throw Captain America's shields, or everything in between. The release schedule for this game seems to be pretty packed too, like with the models that were shown at Gen Con. I know right after the starter box, I believe the next releases will be MODOK and the Incredible Hulk. And in these boxes, it's not just the model, you're going to have like your play components, so there's going to be like extra, I think, scenario cards and stuff along those lines. So it's going to be pretty cool. Movement is done slightly differently. If you've played Star Wars Legion, you'll probably have seen this before, where their movement tool, basically as part of their actions, you stick the tool to the end and then move the model along that line, which I think is neat. I like that concept, and I mostly enjoy that concept just for one reason, that it could open up the door to future releases. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but it could be a potential where we start seeing like henchmen and squad related tactics, sort of like Star Wars Legion, how they do their movement. You move one model and everybody else has to end within a certain distance of that model. So I think I like that they are using these movement tools, because it does open up that possibility where we could see like shield agents of shields, we could see like AIM members and Hydra and all those guys in like a henchman style. Maybe in time, who knows, or maybe they might just stick to like mass heroes and villains facing off against each other. So the contents starter box. As you can see from this image, it's going to be 10 models. You're going to have your movement gauges, your rule books, or your rules, all your cards and tokens and everything else, range rulers as well, that you need to play. So you're going to have like Captain America, you're going to have Iron Man, Captain Marvel, you're going to have Spider-Man, and off the top of my head, I am trying to... Black Widow. Black Widow is the other one, yes. So those are the first 5 Avengers, and speaking of that, I will go on to that there are team affiliations in that in this game, so that's going to be pretty cool as well. But you don't have to pick the team, so like in this you can mix good and evil. Anyhow, back to the other half. In the other half, the evil half, you have your Ultron, and you have your Crossbones, and you have your Doc Ock, which is I love that the fact that they threw Doc Ock in there. You have Baron Nemo, and as well as Red Skull. So you have all those guys in the starter box. And yeah, so that's I think the value is going to be around $100 US. I think that's going to be probably about 125 Canadian, 120 Canadian, somewhere around there, for highly detailed plastic sculpts, which is fantastic. I think the value is definitely there, especially when you factor in that in the image, most of the terrain that you see will also be coming with everything else that I mentioned. So I think the value for the starter box is there. Going forward, I think the boxes are ranging from a single model from $25 US to their dual character packs, which are going for $35 US, which is equivalent really to some of the higher end games that you see with their hero packs that they set out anyways. And it's not like you're just getting the model. Like I said, you're getting all the components that you need to play with that model, scenario, everything else. So it's pretty cool. So I did say affiliation. I guess I sort of skipped over this when we were talking about what Marvel Crisis Protocol is, but when you do your roster, going back to that for a second, when you do your roster, and then you take from your team, you build your squad, you can mix good and evil. You can mix good guys and bad guys, because in Marvel, as you've seen in the comics, they can mix freely. And from there, basically, if you're playing with the team affiliation cards, if you have half of your models selected from your actual squad that you're playing with for the game, from a team you can use one team affiliation, which is pretty cool. And then they're going to have like team cards, I think they're called, which is basically like sort of like one use abilities, or I can't even say one use because I'm not 100% confident on that, but they're like they're like resource cards that you see in like other games and such, which allows you to sort of do things above and beyond what you normally are able to do, so maybe at a cost or during certain situations like reactions, stuff along those lines. Mentioned this already. The release date is slated for fall 2019. Exactly what that means, I don't know. But it has me wanting to leap forward through time using a time stone to late fall, and maybe then I can like go and grab these models and have them in hand ready to play. After that, they're going to have monthly releases, which is fantastic because I really hope that they pump out and really kick into high gear the support for this game, because it has me excited. Again, like I said before, I love the setting and everything else. So I'm ready to jump into this game. I'm ready to come back and film and do battle reports and everything else for it. I think Atomic Mass Games has done a great job thus far. So what does this release mean for myself and Blackfyre Productions and the channel, for the old viewers and new viewers that are coming based on the release of this game? Well, first off, you're going to see more content and coverage, because I'm going to jump right back into it. Like I said, I had a void left in my heart once the last rendition of this game was brought out, or Marvel base game was brought out for miniatures and the tabletop. I had a bunch of friends that would come over and play and everything else, and then basically because there was no support for it, it sort of petered out, and I was quite sort of taken back and kind of upset about it. Like, I know I could have continued to play, but because there wasn't a lot of people playing, it made it really hard to get games. So I'm hoping with the support and everything that Atomic Mass Games puts into this one, that it really jumps people's interests. As everybody knows, like, Marvel's going through a huge phase right now with all the movies and everything, so there's a mass market for it out there, and I hope that a lot of my friends and people that I play miniature games with are interested and intrigued. And if not, well, I'm going to beat them over the head with a silly club and hopefully knock some sense into them, because why wouldn't you want to play this game? No, I will not hurt my opponents. No, I will not hurt my friends. But overall, I will get them hooked one way or another, I swear. So I'm going to do lots more content and releases, videos for this. This will be the first one, just to sort of brief overview, talk about what I'm going to be doing and everything else for the channel and that coming into the future. Obviously, I'm going to have to do a new intro video, because the video that I currently have is going to be outdated. So why not updates? So expect to see that at some point. And then on top of that, the next video that I'm going to be doing, I think we'll be doing a sort of sit and talk with one of my friends, Mike, which if you've watched any of my other content, like my Middle-earth SBG content and stuff like that, Mike is a regular face here on Blackfyre Productions. He's one of my regular opponents and friends that I play games with. Great guy. I can't say enough good things about him, but he's going to come over Friday night, and we're going to try our hand at the rule set using proxy models and stuff like that, and some of the Star Wars Legion movement tools that I have and everything, and we're just going to assign symbols to the dice, because they're a D8 proprietary dice system. So I have tons of D8s, So just assign a number to a symbol and then go from there. In the rule book, it tells you how many symbols are on the die and everything else. So so we're gonna try that game out, and then what we're gonna do hopefully is film a video afterwards where we sort of sit and talk about what we thought about the rules, what we thought about the match that we were playing, and we're just gonna use the stuff that's been released over the course of the weekend and everything else for the game. We're not gonna film the game because I don't feel right filming the game with using proxy models and everything. I'm going to film actual games and that once I get my hands on the models, which hopefully will be sooner than later. I'm really wanting this fall to come so I can get them on there. So you're going to see more content for World War Marvel from here and myself at Blackfyre Productions, and it's, who knows, maybe I'll jump into some painting guides or something like that. I'm not the best painter in the world, so I don't think I'll do that, but like if I have enough people interested, maybe I will. So yeah, so future content, Marvel Crisis Protocol. It's going to be fantastic. The segment World War Marvel will be active yet again after a 2-year hiatus or so once the last game dropped. So guys, that is it. Just a short video from me here at Blackfyre Productions. If you're new to the channel, check out the links below. You'll see a link to Patreon and everything else it allows us to do here. Do what we do here, I should say, on our channel. It is a hobby of mine to be able to support the games that I enjoy, and every little bit helps me be able to bring content like that. For viewers that have been here a while, thank you for watching and sticking around with us here at Blackfyre Production. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, ignite your hobby.